Author's warning: there are scenes of gore, intense violence, a variety of abuse, drug usage and alcohol usage in these stories, so viewers' discretion is advised. Hello everybody and welcome to Tiger Tales, a place where you'll find stories and fanfictions written and then read to you by your host, me, Tai Tiger. Today we're diving into the massive universe known as the Tiger Tales Marvel and DC fanfiction universe, or the TDMFU for short. This is where I have combined the worlds of Marvel and DC and put them into one huge universe with multiple stories playing a part in this ever-growing storyline. You can listen to the whole universal story in all its minor stories and all its chapters in the playlist I have made for this channel. The playlist holds all of the chapters of every story in continuity order that you need to listen to. Today we're going back to our Red Lantern, Jordan, who gained the Red Lantern ring and now is using it to wreak revenge on the people who did her wrong, whilst at the same time fueling the original Red Lantern atrocities. So let's dive in with Red Lantern, Crimson Rage, Chapter 3, The Bus Driver. Jordan stood across the road from an old and deteriorating apartment block. It was on the west side of Los Angeles, just on the edge of the city. She stood there with a glare upon her face, her fist clenched, her ring glowing. She looked at the 9th apartment window and she could see him. The bus driver. From 10 years before, he was the bus driver that would take Jordan and her older sister to school, like he did with all the children in the neighbourhood. He was a kind man and always greeted Jordan, her sister and all the other kids with a smile, and no matter what day it was, no matter what weather there was, no matter how long he'd been driving for, he was always there to greet the children. Jordan walked across the street and walked up to the apartment door and grabbed the handle, then took a deep breath.
"Come on, Jordan, you can do this,"
Jordan muttered to herself. She then tugged the door with a bit of strength and the door popped open. Jordan entered the apartment block, she climbed the steps and she found apartment number 9 and banged on the door.
"Samuel, I know you're in here,"
Jordan yelled. She banged on the door again.
"Don't make me break this door down,"
Jordan barked, but she was met with silence. She then held out her ring and it started to glow. She then shot an energy bolt from the ring and it hit the door handle, eradicating it completely. The door slowly swung open. She walked in, ring still glowing. She crept through the apartment and found Samuel, her old bus driver, that 10 years ago had treated him poorly. He had long flowing brown hair but was now weak and white, with no volume to it. He started balding on the top of his head. Wrinkles hung under his eyes and he was a lot thinner. He now wore thin-rimmed glasses.
"Samuel?"
Jordan asked. Yes, please, the money is in the drawer. It's not all of it, but it's half. I can get the other half, I promise. I still got half the coke," Samuel pleaded. He ducked down into the corner of the room, covering his face with his arm.
"You sell coke?"
Jordan blurted. Samuel peeked through the gap of his arm and realised that Jordan was not the drug dealer. He stood slowly. "You aren't here for the money?" Samuel asked.
"No, I'm not." Jordan
sighed. "Then why are you here, girl?" Samuel barked.
"You don't remember me, do you?"
Jordan asked him. "Did I get you pregnant or something?" Samuel responded.
"You wish."
Jordan hushed back. Jordan walked over to the fireplace. It looked like it hadn't been used in a while. She picked up a framed photo from the mantelpiece and looked at it. It was of Samuel and the kids that caught the bus. The head teacher and the cook was there too. Jordan remembered that day fondly. It was a fundraiser to get the bus fixed. The entire neighbourhood chipped in and the money donated was triple what they needed to use to fix the bus. So Samuel got the bus fixed and gave the rest to the school. Jordan showed the photo to Samuel.
"That was my school. That was my sister's class. I was on your bus every day,"
Jordan muttered. "Oh my god. It was your sister, wasn't it?" Samuel gasped.
"Yeah, it was. You know, my dad started drinking after she died. The year you let out the technicality of lack of space in prison was the year my parents split. 6 months later, my father killed my mother,"
Jordan explained, tears filling her eyes. "You cannot blame me for all of that," Samuel said.
"Oh, but I think I can,"
Jordan snapped. Jordan walked over to Samuel, holding out her fist, the ring now glowing more as Jordan got more angry. Please, it was an accident, Samuel pleaded.
It's okay, Sam. I'll make sure everyone knows every tiny detail of how I'm going to kill you,
Jordan said. Samuel bolted for the kitchen, but Jordan made a crowbar construct and swung it. It hit Samuel in the leg, knocking him to the floor. The crowbar then vanished. Samuel then rolled onto his back and took off his glasses, and blue lasers exploded from his eyes and hit Jordan in the chest, knocking her flying back, crashing into the wall. The lasers stopped and Jordan hit the floor.
You're a metahuman?
Jordan barked as she stood. No, I mean, yes, I am, but I don't know exactly how to control it, Samuel cried out.
You could have stopped the bus. You could have saved my sister!
Jordan snapped as she climbed to her feet. Rage fueled her mind. I couldn't. I thought about it, but then the metahumans were classed as freaks back then. If I did that, I would have lost my job, Samuel said, climbing to his feet.
So instead I lose my sister?
Jordan barked. She made a pair of handcuffs and made them fly at Samuel, but he blasted them away with his blue laser vision. She then made a fierce step towards Samuel. Yeah, easy now. I don't want to hurt you, Samuel blurted.
Oh, please,
Jordan said sarcastically. Jordan aimed her ring and shot several blasts from her ring. Samuel dived forward, the blast hitting his furniture. Samuel jumped up and ran into the kitchen. Jordan followed him and made several big sharp knives and made them fly at Samuel. He blasted his blue laser vision again, blasting 2 of the constructs, but the 3rd and 4th knife hit him in the shoulder and the leg. Samuel dropped, leaning on the kitchen counter. Jordan made a small hatchet construct and swung it hard, cutting Samuel's hand off. Samuel screamed out in pain. He dropped to the floor, blood now spewing from his arm, his hand still on the counter. Jordan then grabbed Samuel by the collar, pulling him up. She then punched him in the face. Samuel then blasted Jordan in the shoulder with his laser vision. She dropped Samuel and grunted as her skin on her shoulder started sizzling. Samuel rolled onto his stomach and started dragging himself across the floor, bringing himself into the living room once more, through the other door. Jordan walked over the weak man and made a chain. She whipped it out and it latched onto Samuel's neck. He grunted as he lost the ability to breathe. Jordan pulled him up to his knees, his eyes turning blue, and Samuel blasted the ceiling with his laser vision. A chunk of the ceiling fell. Jordan made the chain disappear and held her ring, making a barrier, the pieces of the ceiling breaking on the barrier as they fell on her. She then made a fist and punched Samuel in the head, knocking him to the floor again. Samuel rolled and blasted Jordan again, but Jordan made a visor construct and wrapped it around Samuel's eyes. The lasers exploded from the edge of the visor. Samuel screamed slightly, then his lasers dulled out. Then Jordan made 2 daggers, dropped to his knees and rammed them into Samuel's stomach, blood exploding from the puncture wounds. She then placed the ring on his belt buckle, and the ring started glowing, and then she slowly raised her fist and his belt buckle, and Samuel started screaming, and suddenly a drill construct burst from his groin area, coming from the ground below him, drilling right through him. Samuel screamed out in pain, till he could no longer scream. Jordan then stood and made Samuel levitate, and then made chains clasping him to the walls, making it so Samuel was elevated off the ground completely, but was like hung from a cross. The visor construct dematerialized, and Jordan looked Samuel dead in the eye. "I'm sorry. I am," Samuel muttered as blood poured out of his mouth.
10 years too late,
Jordan growled. She then made an oversized pair of scissors and opened them and pushed them closed again, cutting Samuel's head clean off. The head hit the floor and rolled across the room. All the constructs disappeared. Jordan took a deep breath as Samuel's headless body hit the floor. She took a deep breath and noticed she had wounds from his laser vision. She walked into the kitchen and started running the cold tap. She washed her hands off the blood and then searched the apartment. She took all the money she could find and grabbed the cocaine and put it in the sink, then used her red lantern ring to blast it, evaporating it completely, leaving scorch marks all around the metal sink. Jordan then left the apartment and walked outside. She took a deep breath of the fresh air and started crossing the road, when suddenly she stopped and looked at a car which came to a halt. The wheels were on fire. Suddenly a figure climbed out. It was a man with a flaming skull and hands. He walked over to her.
"Are you going to be a problem?"
The flaming skull guy asked.
Listen here, Matchstick. I got a job to do. Get in my way and I'll use your skull to roast marshmallows.
The girl barked.
"Move along,"
the creature demanded. Then she held out her fist, aiming her ring, and a blood portal opened. She then walked through it and entered her apartment. The portal closed behind her. Jordan then stripped and climbed into the shower. She stayed in there for longer than she normally would. Then she got dressed into something comfy, climbed into bed, and fell asleep pretty quick.
Have you been teleported to the past? Or de-aged to look like a kid again? Or have you delivered a message to some strange woman who asks questions all the time? And are you stuck? Well, call TARDIS Taxis, the taxi service that don't get you where you want to go, but where you need to go. To book TARDIS Taxis, simply call the number in last week's paper. Bookings are 6 months in advance. We cannot rearrange your booking, as it may rip a hole in the space-time continuum. Refunds are at the discretion of the Time Lords. Call TARDIS Taxis, and we will get you home. One day.
She woke up the next morning, and her ring was flashing. She got dressed quickly and opened a blood portal. She walked through it and entered Atrocitus' lair, where she found Atrocitus sat there. "I felt your rage," Atrocitus stated.
I was busy!
Jordan muttered. "I can tell. Good job, skinworm," Atrocitus grinned. Jordan walked over to the Red Lantern and placed her ring against it, charging her ring instantly.
I ran into a Ghost Rider,
Jordan told him. "He shouldn't be a bother. My followers on Earth told me of his mission," Atrocitus explained.
If he becomes a problem, what do I do?
Jordan asked. "You killed someone yesterday, and you're asking me if that was a possible threat," Atrocitus responded.
Fair enough.
"I wait for contacts to give me the targets for you across the universe," Atrocitus told her.
I look forward to it. I'll keep going on Earth for now.
Jordan sighed. Jordan then opened a blood portal and walked through it. In a science lab hidden away from civilization, Samuel's eyes snapped open. "What the fuck is going on?" Samuel called out. The 3 scientists in the room all bolted to him. "It worked. Let us run some diagnostics," one scientist said to another. "Hello, can you hear me?" Samuel growled. Suddenly, a nicely dressed man walked up to him. "Hello, Samuel. I'm Mr. Pocket. How are you feeling?" Mr. Pocket asked. "I'm a fucking head. Where is my body?" Samuel snapped. "We cannot reattach the body in case of damaging the goods," Mr. Pocket explained, pointing to his eyes. "You mean my eyes? You did this because I'm a metahuman?" Samuel barked. "Well, hey, you get to live because of me. You don't have to worry about eating or shitting now," Mr. Pocket grinned. "So now what?" Samuel sighed. "Well, these fine gentlemen here are scientists, and they will help run some tests, and then we'll work on that in the afterwards," Mr. Pocket told him. Samuel's head sat in a huge glass box impaled on a metal rod, with tubes and wires coming out of the back of his head, sat there with his own thoughts. There we have it, guys. We have chapter 3. I hope you guys have enjoyed this chapter. Again, this is part of the TDMFU, or the Tiger Tales Marvel DC fanfiction universe. Hope you guys have enjoyed this installment. Thank you, Jordan, for voicing Jordan in this story. She's absolutely awesome to work with, and I can't wait to continue this storyline with her. Our little teaser with Ghost Rider was obviously voiced by Bill Woods, who voices Ghost Rider in his own story of Ghost Rider, which is also part of this universe. I do want to quickly shout out a few people. I am part of the 3 Ranger Bros Studios, and a lot of my Power Ranger stories involve the pair of them, which is the 3 of us, myself, and of course Mark, the Red Cornish Ranger, with his Nerd True Comics podcast, where he adapts comic books into audio dramas. I'm one of his voice actors, and also there is his own storyline, which he's going to be uploading soon. Then there's Willie, aka Cosplay Dude 67, and his Power Rangers Universe 19 podcast, which I have I help there, and his stories are Power Rangers and Kamen Rider, and they're awesome, so you guys check them out as well. We're in association with the Zero to Hero Network. podcast with Billy and Jim are podcasting, Bulk and Skull are podcasting, Billy and Jim, shall I say. I muddled that up terribly, I apologise. Anyway, go check out Billy and Jim with the Zero to Hero podcast. They talk about all sorts of things from Power Rangers, Kamen Rider, Gundam, haircuts, aliens invading, and all sorts. They're a bunch of fun. I've actually been a guest on there, so make sure you go check it out. Thank you all for watching. With that being said, subscribe to this channel so we can get to 100 subscribers by the end of 2023. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you guys really soon.